The video game called MindsEye has really had my mind eyeing the game and the studio for what they're doing. And today we're going to dive deep into a lot of new details. And I got a lot of gameplay footage here that you guys should be interested in as well. So just enjoy that while we break this stuff down. This is big time stuff. There's an article from China that interviewed Adam Whiting, who is a director for the game. And he spoke and broke some things down, and they did a full length interview discussing it. They have things for the story, spoilers, which we're not going to cover, and they have details about the characters and so many good things that were very interesting. But we're not diving into any of that because one of the juicy parts was the Q&A and everything that they discussed on that. To me, that was the key thing that is so interesting, and I cannot wait to kind of just go down a rabbit hole just a little bit. If you're wondering what is this game because you haven't seen my channel, then welcome. But Mind's Eye is a third-person action thriller, and as you can see here, there's a lot of explosions and a lot of gunfire. And the studio called Build a Rocket Boy, put together by Leslie Benzie and company, who actually helped with GTA. He's a big timer, in my opinion, and very interesting for him to start his own studio. But this game, as you can see, you go from the vehicle, you get into some action. By the end of this trailer, you're going to end up flying. So there's a lot of variety. And, the biggest question for myself when I'm looking at games, I've researched them very heavily. And to be honest with you guys, I research it by giving you guys these videos. So I'm grateful for my community because you basically motivate me to really look into the games. I play video games regardless, but being able to be excited for a game and then look deeper into it so that I can make a video lets me get more information. And one of the biggest things about this game is that it is so much bigger than what has been presented. Unfortunately, they haven't really explained everything that they're trying to do uh, to the full extent by showcasing it. That's going to be the best way they can do it. And of course, it's still in development, so it's easy to tell them to showcase it when they're not ready to put everything out. But this is big. And one of the biggest things that I'm going to talk about a little later is they have two kind of things for this game. There's the story that you're going to be playing, that you're watching, where you're playing a third person game and you're going through a full story narrative experience. And it's going to have a variety of gameplay, which I'll get into in a minute. But what's amazing is that they have a thing called Play Mind's Eye or Build Mind's Eye. Now, if you don't know the studio, one of the reasons I had an eye on them was because they have a lot of projects in the works. One of the projects is called Everywhere, and that is basically an open world type of environment where people can create things and make different game modes and have a whole different experience with each other, which is very special. They had a tool called Arcadia, and that tool allowed players to make things. And so imagine this story game that you're seeing here, but you're going to actually get to really, really create your own. So I can turn this into a zombie apocalypse. Instead of fighting these robots and humans, we're just fighting zombies. So just imagine what is possible with that. Okay. And I've talked about this before, so I don't want to dwell on that. But just keep that in mind as we go forward because they're developing multi-layered aspects. And so it's super exciting. So we got confirmation on some of the things that they wanted to discuss. And, we'll just dive right in, okay? So for the Q&A, all right, one of the things that they talked about was the Arcadia. And how does that work? They said, okay, well, creation tools are powerful and they're proud of what they're building. They have a new system logic. It's going to make it easy for people to create different modes, levels, a variety of interactive experiences. You can create things like puzzle levels, rogue-like mechanisms, and a variety of gameplay, including business games. Not sure what that meant, but that's something that was in the article. And so they're going to keep investing in that for the future. They think that that is the future, and that's important to them. And then they talk about one of the interviewers asked about, is this game going to have multi-threaded and parallel plots where the worlds converge? And this is where the conversation gets a little murky. You know, they explain that MindsEye is a linear narrative and it's about Jacob and his experience and everything he's gone through. And then they also say that they are going to allow for extra content in the world. And they explain that this content, you know, they're going to give you the chance with the city that they're building, which is kind of like different movies that will unfold within that. So even better than before, I actually got a little confused with what this game was, just like everybody else. Is it open world? Is it a linear game? It's not open world. Why can you travel so much all over? But they explain that as you play the narrative, the world will open up for you. And so they will have bigger and bigger map. The map will keep getting bigger and more complex. And that is something that they wanted to make sure that they put into the game. And then in the long term, that they wanted to expand with, you know, multiple timelines, maybe universes and stories, making things interesting. And they explain in the early stages of the game, it's a well-crafted world and story for you to explore in Red Rock. And then as you progress, you're going to unlock vast areas of the map. The game covers a wide range of sceneries as well, indoors and outdoors, giving you a chance to explore and possibly interact in different spaces. Eventually, we open it, the entire city as a complete game stage. And that's where you get more freedom, could create your own stories, openness to express yourself. And that's something that Adam said. And that was very interesting. And then, of course, we talked about MindsEye. We talked about Everywhere and how it's going to connect to MindsEye. And the truth is that I was curious, and I think a lot of us are, how that will fully function now that we know that MindsEye. They explained that they've been developing the systems, and the whole game was made with Arcadia, and that is going to allow them to bring Everywhere and MindsEye together, even though the universes look a little different. And then they go into this explanation about that. They say MindsEye is the first chapter of an entire narrative universe and the core starting point of the multiple intertwined chapters around it. We begin to develop the content and later we'll introduce multiplayer modes, open world explorations, parallel reality settings, while continuing the core theme of the work: hope, redemption, curiosity, and exploration of the past and the future civilization, inspired by a profound worldwide setting and multiverse concept. Then they keep going and they say, MindsEye and Everywhere are highly compatible in terms of technical architecture and narrative concept. But together, they're going to form the vision of what Barb wants to do with these projects. Interconnected experiences for the players to play, build, connect, share, create, and fully travel between different dimensions. And so that right there blew my mind because we're finally getting them confirming everything that I've been covering in a little more detail, because it's been hard for me to kind of just give you guys information without getting the confirmations on every detail. Now we know for sure what this means, and I'm so excited to kind of just be the one to unfold some of it with the community. Okay, so MindsEye is the next evolution of game creation. Okay, they did a beta test for Everywhere, which I was included in, by the way, where us players were able to make worlds and build things and drag and drop things and AI integration and so on. It was a very cool system, and I've covered it in my channel, but I loved it. But the truth is, it needed some work, but they were secretly working on MindsEye this whole time within that system. So everything that you're seeing with these cutscenes, all this stuff, not the cutscenes directly, but a lot of the elements of the game is directly from this Everywhere game that's going to be coming out as well. And the tool, which is Arcadia, is not just going to be for Everywhere. It's going to be for MindsEye. So you're going to play, like I said earlier, you're going to play MindsEye Play or MindsEye Build. And that is the vision for each of the games that they release, where you're going to be able to play and then you can build. And this is where it's so amazing and inspiring, and I absolutely am falling more in love with the studio. I don't know what it is about them. They got me so hooked, but I swear, like, I am obsessed with these guys. Shout out to Team Barb, or I don't know what to call us, but you know what I mean. All right, so they were talking about how dozens of creators will be able to participate together, recreate public works, promote continuous innovations, and just basically build with these systems that they're creating. So all of this will be intertwined. Every game will be connected, in other words. And that is so crazy. I cannot wait. Now we're going to get into something about the questions about MindsEye specifically. This is a big one, and I think that a lot of us probably wonder in all this, right? The question had to do with, will the content created by the editors for MindsEye be online like Everywhere, multiplayer and things like that? And this is what they said. It wasn't a lot, but it was enough to kind of get excited. It says, although the initial version does not yet include persistent online sharing world feature, the multiplayer MindsEye Play will be released as part of our 2025 plans. In other words, they 100% confirmed that you're going to be able to create something in MindsEye in this game with these levels, with these enemies, with these AI, with these cars, and make it multiplayer for you and your friends to play in the future of 2025. Now, we don't know the date, and we're halfway through the year, but that's crazy. And they go on to say, MindsEye and Everywhere are not only highly compatible on a technical level, but also closely linked in narrative, achieving seamless interconnectability. Over time, various features that have been optimized in Everywhere will gradually be implemented into MindsEye and vice versa, and they'll be working together to interconnect immersive experiences. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. And then they talk about the social aspect. They say, social gameplay is an important development direction in Barb's ecosystem. Okay, the initial MindsEye is going to be a single player experience. Jacob's story, we know what that is. But later this year, we will be launching the multiplayer social system to promote connection and interaction between players. Now, this is what I don't like, because I don't know what they mean by that. What are you doing socially? Like, help me out. The beginning part was great because they said that we're gonna have multiplayer when we create stuff, but then they talking about the social hub, this social experience. I need more details. All right. And what they did say was, we are not content to simply replicate existing multiplayer modes. So this is where it gets a little funky with the way they word this. But we are committed to exploring new ways to share experiences beyond being in the same place. Our goal is to provide opportunities for truly meaningful interactions, whether through collaborative play or co-creation of content, or through lasting communication. Creating player relationships is the long-term impact. Right? Translation system that I have here, but that is interesting. And again, guys, I don't have the answer. I don't know the truth behind that statement, but we'll figure it out in the future. Let's keep going. Hopefully you're still with me here. Appreciate your time and energy. Make sure you leave a like if this is informative. And this is a big one for me, so I'm just excited. So here we go. It says, from the beginning, we have been committed to creating a focused, engaging single player while pushing players to progress mission through mission, providing opportunities to divert from the main storyline and enjoy a wealth of additional content, deepening the character creation. I'm curious about that. Detailing performance and fascinating side stories. So I'm curious. I didn't think there was going to be many side stories because it's not an open world, but it looks like they have something in place. And then it says, in addition, incorporating multiple interactive, narrative-driven mini games that stimulate players' creativity and add more diversity to the gameplay, so that it won't just be repetitive, boring. Okay, got it. Then they say, in play MindsEye, players can freely choose when to temporarily take a break from the main story and try something new and interesting content. Large number of new chapters covering different world views and characters each few weeks. As a development studio, we are extremely excited about the opportunity to provide diverse experience beyond the core story and gameplay, with even more continuous new content at an unprecedented speed. Now, see, this is where I started wondering, like, what are they doing with that? And what do they mean? And one of the things that they explained is they're trying to create this user-created content, but with the developers doing it, which is going to be just like the main story. So it's going to be DLC that they can consistently put out at a higher rate. And then they say, MindsEye is a mind-blowing, adrenaline-pumping moments, has adrenaline-pumping moments, tender and sweet character development, keeping the pace right and allowing the players to relate to interesting casts of characters. At the heart, it's a fascinating story filled with existential themes that tie into the reality of the world we live today. Very interesting. Then they get into, we chose a linear path for MindsEye to be able to deliver a movie-like experience with interactive aspects, of course, the gunplay that you're watching here. There's some deep emotional aspects, character growth, very good pacing, and the story unfolds in a meaningful, impactful way. And they strive to get people immersed into Red Rock and help them enjoy the journey as they go forward. They talk about traveling, that you might run into portals. You can consider them time rifts where you go back into time into Jacob's past. Now, these will also lead you into the user-created content and all of that good stuff. So there's going to be a lot of elements there that are very fun and exciting to see how that will play out. one of the things that they talk about is how they're looking to release every few weeks some extra content. And so that's very cool. Okay, I think I read most of this information. Oh wait, there was one more. All right, so they were asking about cinematics and is it possible to customize your own? And what they said was, MindsEye players are allowed to use the character models, animations, AI prototypes they encounter and combine for some custom camera angles to edit their own cutscenes and movie level performances to tell their own story. That is very cool. And so this is all, like I said, exciting information. And this is my longest video about this game, but I'm so excited about this article. I had to just get it all out. And this is only one piece of the article, so don't worry, we got more videos to drop. Now this is the big one. All right. They talk about how did they design the game? Because I've been saying you're killing everybody off way too fast, too easy. It's just like bam, bam, dead. Everybody's dead in 2 seconds. What they said was they adopted a step-by-step approach. So you will gradually grow in difficulty because the game will start off a little easy and then you'll start progressing to harder enemies. The environment will get harder. You know, the enemy types will also change and things like that. So there's resources and rewards, and you'll be getting more powerful enemies. And then, of course, getting their technology and weapons. So you'll be able to use it at your own disposal. This is exciting because I was a little worried when I'm watching people in these gameplay footage just smash through everybody without even thinking. So this is a good thing, and I'm excited to see where that goes as we go. There was another question about PvP, and they said the game is focused on a cinematic narrative experience, but in the future they had to have multiplayer, including PvP and cooperative for the future. That's pretty much it overall. And then they hinted at environmental usage with Jacob's ability to, hack into these AI. He's probably going to be able to do other things with their environment. I haven't seen any of that yet. We've been seeing very little of his abilities. Hopefully there's some crazy ones, but that was the whole thing, guys. That was the Q&A part of this article, which is the juiciest part. Everything else is kind of story spoilers, and it breaks down now. Hopefully this was informative and helpful. It's literally 5 in the morning while I'm recording this, and I stood up on it. I actually read the article, and I had to translate it multiple times, make sure we get it right, and made this video. So hopefully it was helpful. Leave a like, leave a comment so that YouTube knows that we're doing our thing. Want to take over the globe with this game, baby. It's gonna be me, you, and MindsEye. That's fine, just us 3 guys. All right, see you in the comments. Hey, by the way, the next video is gonna be more reveals about some deep dives into this article where they break down more. Check it out. Popping up now. Peace.